Right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to another live stream on Rashad Mitchell's YouTube channel. Those going to be tuning in pretty soon. I got a new computer today. I definitely got it's a brand new setup, and it's going to definitely blow up and be successful. So get started with the next 87-88 NBA season, the greatest season ever. That's a question mark. A gentleman wrote this book named Rich Cohen. He wrote the book. He felt that this was the greatest season ever. So I'm gonna get into it right now and read about the playoffs from 1987-88. Here we go. It opened in 4 cities on April 28th, followed by 4 more cities on April 29th. 16 teams competed. The Lakers, Spurs, Trailblazers, Jazz, Mavericks, and Rockets, Nuggets, and Supersonics in the West. The Celtics, Knicks, Hawks, Bucks, Bulls, Cavaliers, Pistons, and Bullets in the East. It was best of 5 in round 1, but best of 7 thereafter. To be champion, a team had to win 4 series in a minimum of 15 postseason games. It took the Bulls, who opened their first round in the delirious, jam-packed Chicago Stadium, the full fives, to beat Cleveland, a team that would have excelled in any ever. But Game 5, Scottie Pippen, the rookie who spent the season coming off the bench, was starting, having earned a spot. He retained. He retained for a generation. And this way alone, this series was significant. By the end, the Bulls who closed the Game 5 with Jordan, Pippen, Grant, Paxson, Oakley on the floor were 4/5 of the way to the lineup that would win 3 straight titles. So it looked likewise. It took the Pistons the full 5 to defeat the Bullets, which was just the sort of veteran team Bernard King, Moses Malone, that can surprise you. One bad quarter or one lapse in concentration and it's over. Ask what he learned from the series. Lambeau said that every game is a blank. The Bulls faced the Pistons in the second round, but the series did not quite live up to the expectations. The Bulls, though well on their way, were still not ready. It wasn't just size and speed they lacked, it was maturity. The Pistons goaded, taunted, heckled, and fouled the Bulls. Fell for it every time, forgetting their game plan, losing their composure, and being sucked into the pit, which is just where Detroit wanted them. As Mike Jackson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. The Pistons' primary objective was to throw us off our game by raising the level of violence on the floor, said Phil Jackson. So they pounded away at our players ruthlessly, pushing, shoving, sometimes even headbutting to provoke them into retaliating. As soon as that happened, the battle was over. Anger was the Bulls' real enemy, not the Pistons. We were target players, said Rodman. It was almost like a football mentality. Our strength was intimidating guys, taking them out of their game so we could run the game the way we wanted it to be run. It was clear by the end of Game 1, which the Pistons took at 93-82, that the Bulls were still missing a key piece, a solid inside presence, most notably. And that center would be Bill Cartwright, who arrived the following year from the Knicks, in a trade for Charles Oakley, with Dave Corzine guarding Rodman or Sally. Detroit might get 4 or 5 offensive rebounds on a single possession in 1987-88. It was like watching a kid playing against a grown-up. Jordan made a point of not shooting in the first quarter of Game 2 at the Silverdome. He wanted to get his teammates going, which would take pressure off him in turn. Giving him room to operate, Jordan hit 90% of his shots that night, collecting 36 points, basically winning the game by himself. Chicago 105, Detroit 95. Isaiah said Game 3 will be the crucible of the series. Even the series, it was time to shut down the Jordan show and seize fate by the neck. Zeke showed up for the travel day practice carrying a stack of Chicago newspapers. Have you all seen what they're calling us? The Windy City columnists believe that with their Game 2 win, the Bulls had broken Detroit's spirit. A storm blew through Chicago early in Game 3, a freak system that came from the west. The sky turned black at midday. Street lamps with sensors flicked on across the loop. The thunder came with the lightning. The beast was right on top of you. Rain poured down. Upper Wacker Drive was a snarl. Lower Wacker Drive filled up like a bowl. A bartender stood in the window of the Billy Goat Tavern, looking out. When the wind arrived, it hit the skyscrapers like an open hand. The storm warning was upgraded first to a tornado watch, then to a tornado warning. People scurried to cover on Michigan Avenue and State Street. The gusts turned umbrellas inside out. Even people inside the stadium could feel the storm. The broadcast was knocked briefly off the air, but the game continued, meaning for a time that only those in attendance knew what was happening. To them, the weather was too perfect, a pathetic fallacy. The outer world, reflecting the gloom felt by every fan who watched the Pistons descend on the Bulls with renewed focus. Bill Laimbeer fed on dark energy. He was a Bond villain, a heel. He hit a shot from the top of the key, pumped his fist, then caught Jordan with a quick, dirty hip check as the Bulls were running up court. Jordan reeled, turned, and charged at Laimbeer. From that moment, Jordan, who later said Laimbeer had hit him in the ball in a blink, forgot the mission, lost his composure, timing the shot. It distracted us, said Doug Collins, and we never recovered. The Bulls scored just 79 points that night, their worst performance of the postseason. Having come from a coronation, Chicago fans witnessed a funeral. In Game 4, the Bulls did even worse, just scoring 77 points, followed by the Bulls' final loss of the season in Game 5 in Detroit. What people remember is Michael and Isaiah going up for a rebound in the third quarter. Michael caught Isaiah with a ball in the head. Isaiah was unconscious before he hit the ground. The game continued around him. Then the whistle blew. Trainers and coaches came running. Detroit assistant Ron Rothstein waved smelling salts under Zeke's nose. His eyes opened in them. You recognize fundamental questions? Who am I? Why am I here? His vision cleared. He got up and stumbled off. They said he was done for the night. He went to the locker room, found the door locked, and so not knowing where else to go, returned to the bench. The announcer said he'd come back not to play, but only to support his team. Then a minute later, the same announcer said he would play, but if only absolutely necessary. A few minutes after that, he was out on the floor. The Bulls were rallying. Zeke was told to stench the bleeding. Bulls fans dismissed Isaiah Thomas as a whiner, a flopper prone to blinking and complaining like the rest of the boys' Pistons. But I never thought about this because I actually watched Isaiah play. There was no one grittier, tougher, or more willing to sacrifice his body and well-being to the cause as a regular-sized person in a big man's game. He swallowed more than I dealt a portion of abuse, was knocked down, knocked out, stepped on, but almost always came back. Very energized, angry, and ready to play. What he did that afternoon at the Silverdome is proof. At 1:55, he was out cold in the paint. At 2:10, he was pulling on a bolted locker room door. At 2:30, he was back in the game, carrying his team across the finish line. The Bulls were within a basket when Zeke returned. 5 minutes later, when he checked back out, they finished. He scored 9 consecutive points in 3 minutes to end Chicago's season. Boston had blown through the Knicks in the first round, then met the Atlanta Hawks, just as the Hawks were hitting their stride. Detroit, whom the Celtics will face if they reached the conference finals, had to watch and wait. Boston crushed Atlanta Game 1 behind the front line of Bird, McHale, Parrish combined for 85 points. They did the same in Game 2. On the way to Atlanta, every Celtic caught a cold. Cortisone the doctors were shooting players full of antibiotics. So in Game 3, Bird played 40 minutes. Led Boston with 22 points, but the numbers gave the wrong impression. He belonged in bed. The Celtics, having sneezed themselves into a stupor, lost 3 out of the next 4 games, setting up a Game 7 in Boston Garden that some consider the greatest game ever played. The game started, and even though the crowd was crazy, I remember it being quiet. I could hear sneakers screeching on the floor. I could hear coaches screaming out plays. I could hear my teammates talking on offense and defense. That was the highest level of concentration I attained as a player. So I continue on with this. When the game was war, 1987-88 season was the great season ever, according to this author. Kevin McHale scored 33 points that night. Doc Rivers had 16 points, 18 assists. Danny Ainge hit 2 big threes late, but Bird versus Wilkins was the show. We were running down court, me, Bird, and Kevin Woods. And Kevin reaches across to me and says, "Don't let that blank score you more, man." And I'm like, "Shut up. He can't hear you." Not to look over and Bird's eyes are like this big. I knew it was on. It was on after that. Those are the birds that woke him up. That's really when the shootout began. My mindset in the playoffs was just you play, see how the game is going, figure out what your team needs to do, and do that. As I continue on, we were rolling early, and I was just trying to fill out the game. Dominique was scoring, and I just watched. Then in the fourth, I got hot. That's when Dominique and me started matching basket for basket. Mert was hitting impossible shots. Dominique, he was not going to be shown, especially in a big game. So it became a show. Even though we were in the game, we were really just watching the show. It was like horse. Bird makes this shot off the glass. Dominique comes down off the glass. Bird goes off, goes all net. Dominique goes all net. Larry gets a layup. Dominique gets a layup. Larry would tell you where he was going to shoot the ball and how he was going to shoot it. He would take you all over the floor, setting picks, coming back. Next thing you know, you look up and he's on the favorite spot, and you're like, "Oh no." The Lakers had gathered in Magic Johnson's mansion in Bel Air to watch the game on TV. They were hooting and hollering every basket. Ron Scott said Atlanta would win. Wilkins was just too hot. No. Don't underestimate my boy Larry. Bird won the game, and the Sabres on the last shot. A three-pointer taken a foot away from Lamb's bench. How many listeners got one view? Yeah, here's what it is. So keep going. Okay, the Pistons' death posed a huge problem for Boston and their comparatively shallow and aging roster. Yeah, rightfully so. The Pistons much younger. They were ready to take over the Eastern Conference. The Celtics were beat up. They had a lot of guys that played a lot of minutes. Bird said they were as deep as any team in the league. Had players who could play really good defense, play defense. They had non-legitimate NBA players. We basically in trouble from the word go. By 1987-88, we were no longer the team we had been. The Ainge told the author it was injury. It was having laid it on the line year after year. McHale was not the player he had been, and neither was Bird. It was his back, his whole body. And then just when you thought help was coming in the form of Len Bias, after that, it was just us and eternity. So the Pistons took game one at Boston Garden, stole the home court advantage, which Boston had worked for all season. The Celtics won game two. They took a double overtime. Bird was cold from the start. Experts wondered if he'd been depleted in the game seven shooter against the Hawks. But McHale rose to the occasion. Appearing mechanical and stiff, McHale resembled the Iron Giant, seemed to play the way my father did in our driveway when he got home from work in his loafers and suit, jacket off. Sleeves rolled, chains jiggling as he lumbered to the hoop. He turned his back to the basket, 8 feet out, used his butt to push me aside, then grunt as he hit the hook. McHale may have seen more of Tin Man than Wizard. If you look closely, you'll see that his footwork was complicated, well-practiced, mesmerizing. He was arguably the best post-up player in the NBA. Once he got a defender one-on-one, there were dozen ways he could finish. He scored 32 points in game 1, 15 points in game 2. Game 2 into the second overtime, when a pass meant for Bird went askew and found him at the three-point line. McHale hit his first tray in over a decade to tie the score. Game 3, the Pistons won at home. It was clear that Bird was in a slump. Girl said, I'm doing something wrong. Start out, hit a couple shots early, then after that, I lose my rhythm. My confidence is not where it was in my last game against Atlanta. Sometimes you leave your confidence on the practice court. There's nothing wrong with me. Stop asking, stop looking, I'm fine. Bird continued to miss it in game 3, 6 for 17. McHale did his best to carry Boston, but it wasn't enough. The Celtics faded, which is the way they, with rickety dynasties. The heart is there, but the legs turn to jelly. Boston quick sweep past Detroit in game 4. The fact that Lambert, whom every Celtic loathed, passed up what would have been a game-winning shot at the end was all Bird wanted to talk about in the locker room. But if I'd been 0 for 300, I would have taken that shot. But I knew there was no way he was going to take it. It just isn't in Lambert's makeup. Here's the last marker of the quality dynasty. Even when old, especially when old, they're nearly impossible to close out. Detroit won game 5 in Boston and clinched in game 6 at home. Both occasions needed overtime to do it. 4 overtimes in 6 games. Rodman got into a brawl with Boston back up. Brad lost with 8 minutes left in game 6. Detroit was leading by 12. Earl Strom, the referee, raced over, hands in the air. Tweet, pause, tweet, tweet, tweet. Players from both benches ran onto the floor, where they were met by the Detroit police. Rodman, Rojas were ejected. Rodman ran screaming into the tunnel. Loas left to booze a cacophony that resolved into a chant. Boston blank, Boston blank, Boston blank. Bird, McHale, and Ainge left the floor with 8 seconds to go. Pulling Isaiah Sal on his way out, McHale said, don't be sad if I would just get into finals. Win it. They don't like to play physical out there. Go right at them. You guys are really good. Meanwhile, the Lakers swept the Spurs in the first round, which was the only break they caught in 1988. From then on, every Lakers series went the distance. The full 7 before it was over, LA would play 24 postseason games, a record at the time. 2008, the Celtics played 26 postseason games. Pat Riley never lost sight of his goal of repeat as champions. The promise hung over the team, said the tempo was the heartbeat of the playoffs. Because of Riley's guarantee, the Lakers could seem less like they were running to something than they were running from something, not toward the title, but away from humiliation. Away from humiliation. Away from humiliation. Sneakers screeching on the floor. I could hear coach screaming out plays. I could hear my teammates. Let's check the audio. That's what I was doing. So it's good. The audio's good. All right. So he faced the Utah Jazz, John Stockton, Karl Malone, Coach Frank Layden, a Brooklyn-born genius of comical leadership. They won Game 7, 109-98. Then they played the Dallas Mavericks. That series went 7. Magic had 24 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds that night, and held Roy Tarpley to 7 rebounds. He did it by battling for position, fighting for every loose ball. That's why my lower back is killing me. Said Magic, he beat me up, boxed him out, but he made me pay for it. Like, so that was it, man. That's it for this chapter. I'll be talking about the NBA Finals tomorrow. But it's great to be having this. Again, I got my new laptop computer today. Some Apple MacBook, and had to do a lot of hard work to try to put this thing together, make sure everything looked good. It looks so much better when you do your YouTube channel on a laptop computer rather than doing it on a phone or a tablet. You know, I did it on a tablet plenty of times, but to have this be done on a laptop computer, this is the first time this has happened. It's so much better. You know, you can see my face. I can do things on camera. I got a lot of ideas I want to do. I just got to troubleshoot things, maybe do some videos, or show some pictures of stuff that I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna do some more live feeds later. May do one at the bottom of the album. I try hard as I can, but I thank you for those gonna be tuning in later. I know it's only 2 views right now, but like I said, this is brand spanking new to have myself do a live feed on this YouTube channel on my laptop computer. It's so much better. It's so much better because now you see my face. I can do things, on the camera instead of just doing it in my bedroom, laying down. That's what I do, because you see, the camera be up in the ceiling. That's not good. That's not a good way to do it. So it's great to do it on video, on camera, and see things get done with that. So like I said, support the channel, subscribe, hit the like button if you like the video so far. Like I said, only 2 views, but what I see, 1 concurrent viewer. Like I said, usually like when I do these videos and I have no views, doesn't mean that people not gonna start looking at it later. They're gonna start looking at it eventually. But it's great to be doing this on a laptop computer. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the 1987-88 NBA season from a book I've been reading for a while, the greatest season ever. According to the author that wrote the book, Rich Cohen. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Be back real soon. So till then, talk to you soon.